Hey everyone, I'm here tonight recording a Facebook Live video, something I don't do too often, but I want to mix it up as I've been writing a lot of text over the last couple weeks. And Sunday night seems to be the time that I get to kind of do this stuff. So I really enjoy Sunday nights because it's sort of my time to plan out the rest of my week, plan out my week, and kind of set my targets for the week and just all the other um, things that I'm going to be working towards for the week. So one thing that I wanted to talk about is it's been something that's come up on some of the calls I've been on with people, is just sort of the outlook towards failure. So one thing I've noticed is that in a lot of the conversations I have with people, just their mindset towards failure is always very self-depreciating. It doesn't serve them. And I always find it interesting because, generally the people I get to talk to are pretty successful individuals. They've got a lot of things going for them. But for whatever reason, whether they're in a new job or a new environment, they seem to struggle with failure and just this concept of failure and it's really holding them back. So, for example, I have a friend this week that I was talking to. He started a new job not too long ago. It's a very high demanding job, but he's got the skill sets to handle it. And I always think it's interesting because, you know, as he looks at these situations that he's in, and he feels like he's failing. He's feeling like he's not doing well at the job. And I think sometimes it's just a matter of taking a step back and just starting to look at, okay, so what have I done well in this job so far, and how can I continue to just keep that in the back of my mind, all the moments of success that I've had, and how can that kind of push me forward in going ahead. And one of the things that I've come across, for example, is that when you look at the definition of failure, so I just looked at Cambridge Dictionary, it says the fact of someone or something not succeeding. So when I look at that definition, that's a very, in our lives, that's a very temporary thing. I mean, if you have a one failure, I mean, it's not going to be the end of the world. It might hurt the ego a bit, but you'll continue on. If you continue to have a series of failures, yeah, that's still something to address, but there are avenues to get help for that. But the biggest concept that I've come across with regards to failure is that if you can shift your mindset towards failure to something where it's not sort of this like win or lose situation, but instead it's really that you're using failure as a guide point. So say, for example, you're focusing on nutrition and you're doing really, really well. You're drinking the water, you're eating the right foods, and all of a sudden you don't pack your lunch one day and you end up having to go to a fast food restaurant, and all of a sudden your diet goes off for the day. Well, again, you could look at that situation as a quote unquote failure, and all of a sudden things start spiraling out of control, and all of a sudden before you know it, it's been 3 days and things are just off the rails. Or you could look at that situation and be a little bit kind to yourself and just say, look, okay, clearly this is a guide point for me. I need to pack my lunch. I need to get ahead of the game and make sure that I have these healthy foods available before I'm going to work, whether that means I prep them the night before, or making sure that I'm able to get that, salad in or something like that before you leave for work that day. That way you're not having to go to the fast food restaurant and that type of thing. So that's a small example, but yeah, the one thing I wanted to share with that is that, again, if you can look at failure as a guide point, it's a guide point towards your success, right? So, when you set your goal, yeah, there's going to be times where you fall off track or times where things don't go well. Again, if you can keep that in mind, that it's just a guide point where, you're going to kind of hit these, it's not going to be a trajectory where it's just a straight line right to success. It's kind of going to go in waves, right? And as long as you can stick with it and just, recognize that there's going to be some failures along the way, but it's how you adapt to those and how you just give yourself that grace and just continue to look for the ways that you can have successes that's ultimately going to get you there. So I hope that helps. Have a great week, and yeah, thanks for checking this out.